this week's A&E intervention. You know, we all fall down sometimes, but what do we do when we've fallen so hard that we can't get up anymore? This week's intervention will look into a heartbreaking story of the provisional government and how her closest family members and friends will try to get her back on the right track. For now, let's learn more about the provisional government's personal tragedy.
Okay, look. What little I managed to do was actually pretty decent, given the fact that literally everything was a big fat no for me. I mean, yeah, my failure will lead to the ultimate and the most inhumane dictatorship ever to go down in history of Stalin. But really, let's just look at the facts here. The ultimate reason why I failed was because we could not stop or end World War I. The Bolsheviks were really well organized, and I can't really do anything about that. And also, I didn't know how to please those dang peasants over there. Provisional government out.
You can't touch all of this! I'm a temporary government body! What should I do, guys, huh? What should I do?
As we can see, this is no fairy tale, but hopefully today we can get through to the provisional government. Let's take a look at some clips in the interviews with her closest friends and family members.
I'm John Harold Snodgrass. My cousin is also a Russian peasant, and she needs help. She's about to die. I also love capitalism, because I'm the U.S. Consul General in Moscow, representing the United States of America.
I am a peasant. I am poor. I want land. My rich and wealthy American cousin, Snodgrass, hate the provisional government as much as I do.
She needs this intervention. She's ruined my cousin's life, who is a peasant. Just look at her. If only the provisional government had made land reforms, she wouldn't have to eat rats. I used to be friends with George Lvov, who incorrectly assumed nothing but good for the world at large was to come, following the February Revolution when he began to lead the provisional government. What a fool. I thought they were exactly what Russia needed, seeing a parallel between them and George Washington's leadership and influence in my home country of the United States. Lvov believed Russia was much better off, and entirely different from how it was in the hopeless and bloody 1905 revolution, making me see leadership and potential in the provisional government. In my earlier published interview with Lvov, he told me it must be remembered that 75% of the Russian people are illiterate. They are not prepared to use the freedom that has come to them overnight except under the careful guidance and regulation of their new leaders. Little did we all know, they had a false sense of overconfidence. There were still class system issues that he was ill-equipped to deal with, since he believed now the peasants are in accord with the very business classes they opposed before, and there was no hatred except towards the Germans. Yet clearly there were class issues. The provisional government was blind. Please help my friend.
I am a World War I soldier. I am probably going to die in like a minute because the trenches are so bad. Also, the July offensive was dumb. I hate the provisional government.
Yes. Look, we were losing the war, and she stepped in and told us that we would push through again and actually win the war. The July offensive made us think that we could actually pull through and finish this horrible war. You know how that worked out? Failure! And now, we have Germany still breathing down our necks and no reprieve from the pain we are going through. At this point, the provisional government needs to find a way to stop our fellow soldiers from dying in this horrible war. And the Kornilov affair. Alexander Kerensky, the head of the provisional government, seems to have orchestrated this whole affair. Even the historians of today are saying that there's no clear explanation for what even happened. All I know is that Kornilov tried to bring some form of normalcy to Petrograd again, but that just ended in more people going towards the Bolsheviks, those jerks. And now our military is crumbling day by day, and there's almost no hope left for us. This entire trial government has completely failed our country, with ineffective military decisions.
I'm a Bolshevik revolutionist, and I hate the provisional government. It's dull. Oh.
My fellow comrades and I never supported this disaster. The thought of a government made up of bourgeoisies is sickening, so that's why I've always supported the Petrograd Soviet. This was the difference between us and the Mensheviks, you could say. They always liked their failing moderates, whereas we have always felt communism needs to happen much quicker. I don't really understand this intervention. The provisional government is beyond help. Thanks to the Petrograd Soviet for creating a dual government with the help of enacting Order Number 1, the provisional government has no real power. When the provisional government needed help, it was unable to support itself, needing to ask the Petrograd Soviets for soldiers to help defend itself from General Kornilov. We were better organized to handle Russia's many problems, such as our involvement in World War I. The provisional government decided to continue the war, whereas we knew it was best not to. Also, if she had went through with the Constituent Assembly elections earlier than she did in 1917, then the Social Revolutionary Party would have been an even greater majority. The nerve the provisional government had to only recognize its own authority and refuse to compromise with us. She was selfish from the start.
So the provisional government really failed in November of 1917 with the Bolshevik Revolution. As you can see, this really wasn't one of our happiest stories, and it had a pretty sad ending. But tune in next week for a story about a meth addict. Back for more Bolsheviks.